Hello, this is Bluestar, Defender of Equestria, and this is my first official review. Well, actually, I did one before, but it was pretty much a disaster. Oh dear. Anyway, this time I will be covering Three's a Crowd, which I thought was good, and Discord actually had a good point about the main six, and it was funny, and I enjoyed it. Bluestar, Bluestar, I am the element of honesty. What? But I thought Applejack was the element of honesty. She is, but I am the spirit of your honesty, and I have come with a warning that you should be more honest with yourself and how you really feel about this episode. But the Discord fans will feed me to the monster. Fear not, Bluestar, they would never do that. And besides, you're Bluestar, you can take care of yourself. And remember that honesty is always the best policy. You haven't spent a lot of time in the real world, have you? But, however, you're right. Discord's a jerk, and I don't like him one bit. And this episode doesn't even try to convince me otherwise. See, didn't it feel better to tell the truth how you really feel? Yes, it did. Figment of my imagination. Thank you. You're welcome, Bluestar. And until next we meet, farewell. And always be honest with your feelings. Well, that was weird. What's almost as weird is that I actually wrote a script for this video, and BlueStarBrony used a rambling format for one of his review videos. By Celestia, the world is coming to an end. Well, anyway, I pretty much agree with what both BlueStarBrony and Brony Curious had to say about this episode, so I'm not gonna repeat what they have said, simply because that would be silly, and I'd also like to keep this reasonably short, since I simply need to get things done and actually get videos out the door and stuff like that. I must admit, I never like to say an episode of MLP is bad, because even the worst episode is better than most TV shows are there, but I don't think I was really being honest with myself on my initial thoughts and feelings of this episode. Sadly, this episode is a classic case of how exposition can destroy a story if you let it. The first 10 minutes of this episode were almost completely unnecessary, since it was really all about just simply getting the characters out of the way, which either could have been handled better or simply just don't have the main six show up at all. Why include them at all if you're just going to take 10 minutes to remove them? It just seems silly. In short, none of the characters were particularly likable or sympathetic in this episode, with the exception of Fluttershy, who shows she actually is Discord friend, because not only did she take care of him, but she actually wanted to, which is of course why she simply had to be taken out of the picture. The other characters just simply wanted to get out of it, and in Pinkie Pie's case, they made her look like a mindless idiot by simply abandoning her friends, and not to mention Discord as well, to go chase a balloon. While Cadence, I think, tried to handle this the best, even she shows that none of these characters, except for Fluttershy, are really Discord's friend, which for a show which is supposed to be about the magic of friendship is really quite sad. But it is sadly true that this sort of forced friendship really does exist in the real world and all that. Oh dear. But of course, the main six have very little reason to actually be Discord's friends, since in the end, Discord did lie and deceive every pony for, frankly, very selfish reasons, and it's only Cadence's surprise spin on the events of this episode that Twilight actually learns anything from this. Discord's expression and behavior when he realizes that he has not ruined Cadence and Twilight's day remind me of a jealous child who just didn't get all the attention that he wanted. While Discord had a very good point that Twilight is not really his friend, his behavior only further proves that he is an untrustworthy bully and a jerk that in a way is undeserving of Twilight's friendship to begin with. And as someone once said, I didn't like boys when I was a kid, and I don't like them now. Sadly, this is why I still don't like Discord, since he is still the same jerk he always was, and while he may not want to take over the world or anything like that, his central motivation is still to hurt ponies. And this episode only enforces my opinion that his behaviors are very childish and self-serving, and I don't like him. I don't like him one bit. The song during this episode is a further extension of that, and again only continues to enforce a very negative opinion of Discord as he just simply demands more and more and more, and he's very, very unlikable in that song. Also, a good song should be something you want to listen to again and again, and I also think should be able to stand on its own outside of the episode. However, I think this song fails on both counts. Oh dear. However, if you're a Discord fan, you may still enjoy this episode, and there are a few good jokes throughout the episode, and we do get another My Little Pony Princess Smackdown! Where the princesses got to show they actually can fight and send the monster crawling back into its hole! That's what you get for trying to eat the princesses! Roar! Way to go, Princess Cadence and Princess Twilight! Even though they were almost devoured by the monster. Oh dear, oh dear. I must admit, I like to see female characters fight and win, since in the past so many shows and movies have made it seem like they can't. And it's really nice to see a show that clearly proves them wrong. Sadly, that was one of the few things I did like about this episode, and even though at first I thought I enjoyed it, but looking back on it, especially as an analyst, I've realized, no, it was actually quite bad. I think this episode is the opposite of Rainbow Falls, which, like this episode, had a lot of flaws in it, but I think ultimately was still a really good episode, simply because of Rainbow Dash's moral dilemma, and even though we've seen this before, it was really satisfying, and it was simply worth seeing, and basically saved this episode from being a failure. But this is not the case for Three's a Crowd. It simply doesn't have any interesting character dilemma, and it doesn't move the bigger picture along, or really have any reason to want to go back and watch it. Unless they are setting up for a future episode, which I think in general is what the first half of the season is attempting to do. Perhaps Twilight will earn her key when she actually becomes a true friend to Discord. But if this episode is anything to go by, that doesn't seem very likely, since it doesn't paint any of the characters in a positive light, and instead simply proves that they aren't friends to begin with. I guess friendship isn't as magic as we thought. But you never know, maybe the magic of friendship will prevail in the end. Honestly, I hope that it does. So that is the end of my review of Three's a Crowd. This is Bluestar. Stay strong and pony on. Bluestar out.